Weapon attachments or weapon mods, whatever you call them. Some people call them mods, other people call them weapon attachments. Now, what I've learned over the years is that during my build videos, I never show my weapon attachments. Now, there's a few reasons for that, but above all, it's because I really just use like the same 3 attachments for pretty much all my weapons. Here, let me explain the best weapon attachments to use and why. What's going on, YouTube? Kamikazevondoom here with another Division 2 video, so sit back, relax, grab that popcorn, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know what you think in the comment section below, and finally, shout out where you're from. It's cool to see where everyone is from, but that's right, weapon attachments. Why do I not use, well, break them down in my build videos, and why do I really just use the same ones over and over? Well, let me show you. Now, looking at your weapon attachments, right, they're only available on your high-end or, well, just high-end items, right? So any gold item or named item, anything like that, you have different weapon attachment slots that you can put different weapon mods on there and then make your weapon, you know, better or faster or stronger, whatever you want to call it. Now, on most of my build videos, I have exotics, right? And you can see that the exotic weapons, you cannot change the attachments. You can't switch out any of the mods, anything like that. They are fixated. They're stuck, right? So on all of these exotics, you're not able to change them. So I don't even think about showing them on my other weapons because I'm typically using some form of an exotic. But every now and then, I do use my named items and high-end items, and I forget to show the weapon attachments or the mods that I use. So let me break down in each category the ones that I use and which ones you should avoid. Now, a big thing about this, and let me just go ahead and show you really quick. A big thing about this is having multiple characters. So a lot of people, they are wondering about these weapon attachments because when you make other characters, you do not automatically get your weapon attachments. You have to craft them individually on each of your characters. So I am over... Oop, it's going to put me in a bump in Dark Zone now. Come on. So now I am on my 3rd character, and let me get to a crafting station so I can show you what's up. But this is on all of your new characters. So a lot of people are like, hey man, I've got 4 characters and I only have weapon attachments on my main one. Which one should I do on my other characters? So let me show you. Come over here to the crafting station, and it should be in the top right.
Anything I can do for you?
So over here. And you can see that I don't have any of these well, actually I do. I have a few crafted here at the bottom. But all of these I need to craft, and I purposefully did not. I didn't touch any of these. And then you can see under the magazines, let's see here. Oh, I have a few down there at the bottom. But you can see it's only maybe a handful. And then same with the underbarrel. You can see I only have a few of them crafted at the bottom. Same with the muzzle. And I only have a few crafted at the bottom. And that's how I do all of my new characters, because there's only certain weapon attachments you need for your build to make it stronger. Some of these weapon attachments are gimmicks. It's just, it's some sort of, you know, placeholder, if you will, where it doesn't really hurt your build, but it's not really helping your build the way all of these other attachments or mods would. What is this stuck at 0 nonsense? Come on. Don't you know I'm making a video here? All right, hold on. Ah, you wanted to work now, huh? All right. My bad. I was stuck at 0 for like 5 minutes. I was not about to make you sit there and wait for 5 minutes just staring at the number 0. All right, here we go. So now we're on my main character. Let me break down all of these attachments. And the reason why I'm doing this on my main character is to show you the weapons and which ones I use and why. All right. So again, you can't use the exotics as an example. So all of our examples are going to be these high-end items. So starting off at the top, we have the caretaker, right? Now, I'm not even going to break down why I'm using these mods yet for this weapon. Let me just show you the mods that I recommend. So going to the optics, right? There are really just like 3 or 4 that I would even say, craft and even use. The first one would be the Russian red dot sight because it gives you 10% crit hit damage. I know typically people would use the C79 scope, but I'm going to say don't do that one. Do this one. The rugged mini reflex sight. It gives you the same amount of crit chance, but it doesn't zoom in or anything like that. So this one's easier to use. So the first one, 10% crit damage. The second one, your rugged mini reflex for the crit chance. Your third one would be the reflex sight for the weapon handling. Now, this weapon handling attachment is super strong. This is a very, very strong attachment for all weapons. What it does, you can actually see right there. So check this out. So here's the crit chance, and look on the right of your screen where it shows weapon handling. And you see that? So it's a big jump. So it gives me a boost in accuracy, stability, reload speed, and then also swap speed. And that's why I use them for a lot of our weapons because it helps just your overall feel for the weapon. You hit your target more, you're reloading faster, you're getting bullets down range faster. It's just a good experience all around. So crit damage, crit chance, weapon handling, and then anything else? Not really. Now, I know a lot of people would say, yeah, but what about the accuracy? What about this accuracy? What about the stability? Come on, Kami, what are you doing here? What about the headshot damage? Now, yes, some of these would work typically, but if I'm going to use a headshot build, I'm going to not really use an AR. And all of these attachments that I showed you, I would use on 90% of our weapons, where that headshot mod would be really, really niche. It would have to be a full headshot build, and it would have to be a full headshot weapon, where I do not use that very often. So I'm only showing you what I typically use. And if I stumble upon an attachment or a mod that you swear up and down by, please let everyone know in the comments and we'll try it out. But I'm just showing you what I typically use because a lot of people have noticed that during my build videos I don't show these attachments, and they want to know which ones to go for. So for the optic, Russian red dot, the reflex, and the rugged mini reflex. Those are the 3. For the magazines, I would stick with the extended magazines that give you 20% or 20 rounds. There are the light extended that give you 15 rounds. You can increase your crit damage, your stability, your reload, all that. But I always go for the extended magazine that gives you plus 20 in your magazine size, because without that, you're dipping it way down, like way down to 30. Oof. 30 magazine size? That's just atrocious. Now, would there be any real reason in using the crit damage as your magazine? I would say no, not really. You want the increase in rounds just for your overall DPS and feel for the weapon. I would not lower your magazine size for any real reason. Just go with the extended magazines. Now for the underbarrel, right? So the underbarrel, we go crit damage, we go crit chance. If you have the linked laser pointer, you would use it. If you have the tactical short grip, you would use it. If you have the small laser pointer, you would use it. All of those are amazing, and sometimes I even use the accuracy. So the underbarrel, in my opinion, has the most options because a lot of these are hidden behind your specialization. So this tactical short grip, that one's locked behind the firewall. The small laser pointer is locked behind the demolitionist, and the linked laser pointer is locked behind the technician specialization. Now, if you do not have those, you can see right here, you could use the normal crit damage, you could use the normal crit chance, and then if you need to, you could go accuracy or stability, depending. I typically don't do reload speed unless I'm using like a LMG, but all the other ones I do actually use. And then finally for the muzzle, And I will be going over several examples to show you different weapons to use with which attachments. For the muzzle, crit damage all day. The accuracy and stability, maybe if you're using like a crazy weapon that really needs it. The optimal range, I would probably stay away from it. But then the crit chance all day. Now, this one right here, the Omega, that lowers your optimal range for stability, I would probably never use this one just because you can use 30% stability right here. And on a majority of the weapons out there, that would alone max out your stability. So there's really no need to cut down your optimal range just to increase your stability by a little bit. And like I was saying earlier, some of these attachments might be like a gimmick. And this is one of them. It's like, why do that? Like, you could easily just increase your stability right here and not have to take away from your optimal range. So again, for the muzzle, crit damage, accuracy, stability if you need it, crit chance all day. Now, it's time to show you different weapons and why I use the attachments for them. So for example here, we have the Caretaker. The Caretaker is perfect killer. So what I would typically do is run this with a max crit chance build and then increase my crit damage everywhere I can. And that's what I did with this weapon. So if you can check this out, the optic gives us 10% crit damage. The underbarrel, the short grip, gives us 10% crit damage. And the muzzle, the flash hider, gives us 10% crit damage. Now, the Dark Winter, I used it a little bit different. So for the Dark Winter, I actually went weapon handling, accuracy, and optimal range here. Now, I know I was telling you that I don't typically use optimal range, but for this one, what I was doing is I was using the Dark Winter as a secondary weapon, and if I had to switch from my AR to my secondary, I wanted to be able to beam down whatever enemy I needed to just to switch back to my primary weapon. So I went with weapon handling to make it more of a laser beam, accuracy again to make it more of a laser beam, and then optimal range just to hit my target a little bit further away. But then I could just switch right back to the Caretaker. Now, if I were to use the Dark Winter as my primary weapon, what I would do is switch over to crit damage for everything. So Russian red dot, then I would go with the short grip and the flash hider. Just go crit damage all across the board, just like the Caretaker. But remember that if you're using the 10% crit damage under the short grip, you can switch on the firewall specialization and get 5% more crit damage for free just by switching your specialization and then putting this weapon attachment on. So remember, the underbarrel, the grip, is I guess the most options you're going to have for your build, but it's only based off of your specialization. So again, linked laser pointer typically for your flatline builds, the crit chance for your crit builds, and then the crit damage also for your crit builds. But all right, so those are my first two examples, perfect killer. So let's move it on down. Next up, we have the FAMAS. Now this one's sadist. What did I do here? Crit chance all across the board. So this was a sadist bleed build with crit, and then I just put crit chance everywhere I could. Now, if I were to use this with the demo specialization, remember I can get 2% more crit chance just by using it right there. And then bada bing, bada boom. All crit. Moving down, we have the Lexington here. So the Lexington, and this one with flatline, so I do have a missing attachment here for the long under barrel rail, and that's where I would put the linked laser pointer, but the build that I currently have on does not have the specialization, so it removed the attachment. But for the other two, let's see here, I have weapon handling and accuracy. So what I was using with this one is a flatline spotter tank build, and I was not going for crit. I was just going for pure raw damage. So that's why I was using this with accuracy and weapon handling to make this more of a laser beam, and then just hitting all my shots with that amplified damage. Going down, we have the Purist. So this one, let's see here, crit, crit, crit all across the board. Very good with perfect streamline. Now, the sad thing for this SMG is that this one does not have any crit damage attachments. But all of these attachments are very good for this weapon. It just depends on what kind of build you're using. If you have max crit chance, I would not put crit chance on here. I would take that off and either go with accuracy or stability depending on your gameplay. But if you do have max crit chance, there is no reason to have crit chance on this attachment. Going down, let's see here. The slingshot, again, with flatline. So I'm assuming, yep, this one is empty for the linked laser pointer. And then we have, what do we have here? Crit damage and crit damage. So what I was using with this one is a crit flatline build. So I was probably using this flatline spotter, all crit, and then putting more crit damage on those attachments. Moving on down, we have LMGs here. So I have a few LMGs to show as a reference, but just so you know, I am not actually using these LMGs. I would typically use one of the exotics being, either the Iron Lung, the Pestilence, what have you. But here we go. Here's the Black Friday. So what makes the Black Friday so special is it has perfectly unhinged. Now this one gives you more base damage, but it subtracts from your overall stability and accuracy. So what I did here is I went weapon handling, accuracy, and more accuracy just to try to combat that negative that we get from the perfectly unhinged. And then when I went for the small pouch, instead of getting the larger magazine size, I went with the reload speed. That way, not only did I turn this into a laser beam, but it also reloads pretty quick as well for an LMG. Now, the other one was the Good Times. Now, the reason why I wanted to show the Good Times is because this one works off of crits and reload. So I went with crit and reload for this LMG. So starting at the front, we have crit chance, more crit chance. Then we have rate of fire. That way we can get our crit hits quicker. And then we have weapon handling for that optic to increase our reload speed even quicker. So what this does is I'm getting my crits out there faster, and I'm getting my reload to go with the weapon handling. That helps me hit my target and reload faster as well. I mean, that's how all of these weapon attachments should be, is, just to help out whatever type of build you're using. And, yeah, make sure you have all of that synergy. Here's the apartment. This is the named SIG MPX with perfectly measured. And this one crit all across the board, because what I was using with this one is like a burst damage crit build. And I had max crit, and I was just running around bursting people down with the perfectly measured talent. Because remember, perfectly measured, the first half of the magazine shoots quicker. And then that way you have that burst damage, effect. And then it slows down at the last half of your magazine. And then that's where you actually hit a lot harder. So you get that burst damage effect, and then by the time it slows down, you're just melting them. It's really fun. Moving down here, let's see some other examples. We have the M870 here. So for the M870, I went with crit chance, reload speed for the tubular spring, and more crit chance. The reason for that, I have Optimist on this one. So what I do with this shotgun is I use it as a secondary weapon, and I shoot out all but 2 rounds of this shotgun. And then that way I have Optimist already like pre-buffed. And then whenever I really need it, I'll switch to the shotgun last second, boom, boom, and then take out whatever it is instantly. And then that's why I have the increase to reload speed. That way I could reload a little quicker. And then I have that crit to take advantage of the extra damage. Pretty cool, right? And all of these have some sort of, logic behind them. For the lefty and for the rock and roll, these are both going to be set up the exact same way. And that's going to be accuracy at the bottom and weapon handling at the top, both of them, no matter what. And then I have rate of fire for the lefty, for the rock and roll. Where's it at? There it is. For the rock and roll, you don't have that rate of fire increase, so all you have is the weapon handling and accuracy. But on the lefty, I actually have that increase to rate of fire as well, which is pretty cool. But the reason why we go accuracy and weapon handling on these shotguns is you want to be able to hit your target as fast as possible without missing any pellets. Because you typically want to use this weapon to build up stacks, whether it be Heartbreaker or Striker, what have you, and it works like a charm. But what makes it work even better is having accuracy and weapon handling on there. That way, it's more of a a smaller spread. It's a shotgun, so it's all about the spread. But what this does is it lowers the spread, helps you hit your target more, getting your stacks quicker. Let's see here. Then we're moving on to snipers and then rifles. So let me go ahead and put a rifle on my primary or on my secondary and a sniper as my primary. There we go. So looking at snipers, right? So this one, well, this one's not going to be a great example. So here's the SR1. Now, the reason why I said it's not going to be a great example is I went straight laser beam with this one. I went accuracy, stability, and weapon handling with a little bit more in the magazine size because, let's be real, without that, having 5 rounds is just it's not good. So what I do is I increase that to 10, and then I make it to where I can keep shooting, and it's almost like dead perfect. You can see the accuracy and the stability are nearly maxed out. It's a lot of fun. But the thing about determined is you have to hit that initial headshot to get it to keep chain reacting. So what I did with this sniper is I went with as much accuracy and stability. That way I could hit my headshots. Because sometimes, man, I got some wicked potato aim with those snipers. Like, sometimes I can't hit a headshot to save my life. I wish it was like GoldenEye James Bond where you could put on that effect to make all the enemies' heads bigger. Just to make headshots easier. Anyways, here's a LVOAC. This is the rifle that was turned into a fully auto rifle, right? So what I did here is I have flatline on here. That way I have the underbarrel. I could put the linked laser pointer to pulse my enemy and get that amplified damage, right? But then I also went with stability and weapon handling because, again, with this being a full auto rifle, it bounces a lot. Like, the recoil is crazy. So what you do is you put weapon handling and stability on there to try to balance it out, and then you can just go ham because this thing hits really hard. You can see it's right at 250,000 damage per bullet, and that's just on the total damage starting out. That's without anything being amplified. That's without any of the damage to targets at a cover. Just sitting here near 250,000. Pretty crazy. Now, other snipers and rifles, let me switch over to a couple other examples. Let's go with the White Death and our last example for those. Let's go with the Virginian. Okay. So for the Virginian, what I do is I go with the reload speed. Now, I know a lot of people might go with the rate of fire. I get it. It shoots hella slow, but it's going to shoot hella slow no matter what. The headshot damage, yeah, you could increase that, but it's only 5%. It's really like not a lot. So I go with the 20% reload. For me, that's the biggest player. You go from a 3.15 reload to 2.66. That's a big jump. Where 5% headshot and 5% rate of fire, that's not really a big jump, in my opinion, for either one of those, where that reload speed really does help out your build. It really does. Now, as far as the White Death, for this one, I go weapon damage for the spring. I go weapon handling with crit. What I typically do with the White Death is I'll run all headshot with crit chance, and then I'll use a little bit of that weapon handling just to hit my shots more. But if you're really good at headshots, by all means, switch this one over to crit chance just like that, and you're good to go. And that is pretty much how I use all my weapons. I mean, just by showing you like a dozen weapons, you can already see they're all pretty much the same attachments on everything. I go weapon handling, crit damage, or if it's really unstable, I'll go accuracy, stability just to balance it out. That's really it. So weapon handling, stability, accuracy, and crit all day. Now, as far as these pistols go, let's check these out. So I have the Harvest here. This is the determined damage to targets at a cover. I went with weapon handling, and reload speed for this one. The reason being is you only get one option here for the Magnum and for the optics. All of these choices are they're okay, but I felt the weapon handling gave us the most benefits. Where this one gives you headshot, but it takes away from your optimal range. This gives you a little bit of headshot, some stability, but the weapon handling gives you all that. It gives you accuracy, stability, the reload speed, the whole nine. So I go with weapon handling, reload speed, good to go. And then finally, the TDI card custom. Now, this one I just used with a full headshot build earlier. You remember I made a build video that said I could even make the TDI card custom a one-shot, and I did. It was a lot of fun. Now, for this one-shot configuration, I went all headshot everything. So I actually went with the headshot mod. I went with the headshot muzzle, and I went with the headshot laser pointer all across the board with the increase to magazine. Pretty crazy. But what I typically would do, I would probably switch that to crit chance, probably switch this one over, maybe optimal range, and then switch this one down to a pistol or to the flashlight, just because whenever I'm typically using this pistol, it's just to help out my overall build. So that would be the support setup, where I just showed you the all headshot setup. Pretty cool. All right. I think that is it. I have shown you as many weapon attachments as I can. Let me switch back to that third character and show you which ones that I crafted on that character, and then get you out of here. Because when you're making a new character, you're like, hey man, which attachments should I craft? So let me show you. It's only a few per category, and then that's it. Good to go. Now, if you find this video helpful or informative in any way, shape, or form, please hit that thumbs up. Support the channel by subscribing, and let me know what you think in the comments section below. Now, here we are on my third character, and let me just show you what I've crafted. So for the optics, I went crit chance, headshot, weapon handling, crit chance. For the magazines, I went plus 15 for the 5.56, plus 20, plus 20, plus 5. Oh, these are for the snipers. But then you'd go for the plus 20 rounds. So right here, the sturdy extended. And that's actually right here, extended, so that's 3. There's only 3, wow. And then for the grip, I went reload, crit chance, accuracy, depending on your weapon. And then for the muzzle, we went stability, accuracy, and then of course you go crit chance, crit damage. Very nice. But that is it for me. I am Kamikazevondoom. Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you in the next video. And that's it. Peace out.